6 AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. Exi, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI.
Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. And of course, do share with your friends, guys. It does really help out. But I hope everyone is ready for the week ahead. Had a good weekend as well. What's up, Tony Gold? Welcome to the streamer, man. Hope you are doing good. So yeah, a bunch of markets to get through. We'll start with the USD, go through the DXY, USD majors, gold and silver. Then we'll take a look at our perps platform and we'll go through some requested pairs. Also, what's on my watch list, what am I looking to trade this week. If there is any particular pairs you guys do want me to take a look at, any particular time frames, let me know, drop it in the chat and we shall discuss. Or if you have any positions you want to share, you can drop it in the chat. We can discuss as well. Good morning, Ivan. Welcome to the stream. Hope you are doing good. So as always, we shall start with the dollar. So not a lot has developed. Not a lot has developed since we last spoke. We did have NFP, which did open up the floodgates to the downside, and we did see a really aggressive bearish move. However, we didn't really do anything. We didn't break structure. We didn't break out of this range, and your price is still trapped within the highs and within the lows. So there has been no progress in that situation. Therefore, I'm kind of still neutral on the dollar, and at the moment, price is testing the lows, still rebounding. If we do successfully retest this area, we could very much see a continuation back to the highs this week, and we could be looking at a bullish dollar only just to get us back to resistance. So with USD, if we can break through the floor, if we can see some downside through the lows here, that will then allow me to be bearish on USD with the expectation that we are going to continue lower and possibly head back to these lows around 96.4. And then the plan will be some pullback opportunities and looking for continuations back into the prior low. And that's where I'm really interested to see if USD can make the move this week. If we are going to see some weakness for the dollar, if we are going to break support, break out of this range and actually start to see a bit of a trend continue. But on the other hand, there is of course very much a possibility we just continue the range and bounce to the upside. So the plan very much is monitor what price does this week at support. At the moment, we have had a bit of a bearish move into the low, but at the moment price is rejecting pretty well. We'll see how this does develop through the rest of today and pretty much the rest of the week. And if we do maintain support, then yeah, buys look good. Perhaps some sells on euro dollar, sells on maybe Aussie dollar look good. If we can break through the floor, then we'll speak more about the selling opportunities. But for now, at support, difficult to tell. Jumping over to Euro USD, pretty much the same situation there as well. You've got the equal highs running through the market. Price again struggling to clear the highs and get that direction. Equal lows there, which price has been bouncing on very, very well. As you can see this week, another up move back into resistance. Can price find resistance here, or do we break to the upside? If we do get the breakout, then this becomes my target back to the swing high and onwards and upwards from then onwards. And of course, if we do break through the low, then I'm looking at push back to the swing low at 1.139. So either which way, there is a plan at play or in place for dollar, depending which way we do break out. At the moment, still trapped within the range. Price is back at the high. If you're looking for shorting opportunities, now is the place for it. If we can see a significant reaction there, we'll see how this candle does close. Still does have about 44 minutes before it does close. But let's say if we do close with some strength, that could be a nice short on the hourly. Stops above the high and simply looking to try and catch the swing back to the low of the range or back to some of these areas at least. So again, all eyes really on this area. corresponding to what the DXY is doing, and now help kind of shape my bias for the week. In terms of pound USD, still trapped within the range, so it's not my favorite pair at the moment. I do think there is a lot of potential with these USD pairs when they do eventually break out, but we did bounce off a very nice level of support on the daily chart, which we did really well to do. Price came back into the lows, some nice wicks, but all we're doing is just moving back and forth between this range. So in terms of direction, it's just not clear right now. If you're looking to take advantage of price, respecting key levels, looking to buy low, sell high, catch reactions, you can find some nice opportunities here for pound, as we saw last week with this reaction at the low, a few weeks ago at the reaction of the high there as well. If price does make its way back to resistance, struggle at the highs again, there could of course be another selling opportunity. So keep an eye on those opportunities, especially if you're on the lower time frame, just looking for kind of intraday positions. In terms of direction, as I've been saying, looking for this before I do set a bias and expectation for pound USD. Whilst we're in this area, all I'm expecting is fluctuation back and forth, not trying to be too judgmental on the price action. I do have the feeling that we are likely to break higher. I am looking at this as a big inverse head and shoulder pattern. So there's your left head and right shoulder. Of course, that's your neckline. And I also like the way we've had this really aggressive sell-off, but all of that's kind of flipped and price is now seeing some strength. So it's like price did try to break to the downside, but essentially failed. And if you do see a confident break to the upside, I am expecting us just to return back to highs at 1.378. So I do somewhat have a bullish expectation for pound USD, but again, I'm not going to jump into anything until I see price actually show some conviction to the upside, which is basically the break of the high. Dollar CAD, I actually quite like the shorts. I'm very bearish on dollar CAD. I've spoken a lot about where we're trading on the higher time frames. If I scoot to the weekly chart, you can see where we're trading major resistance once, almost twice, a third time, a fourth time, and potentially a fifth over there as well. So a very significant level of resistance in the market. I do feel like we can see a lot of downside from that area. And if that is the case, I would expect at least a push into the lows here. And maybe best case scenario, you see a push all the way to this low at 1.324. Of course, that's more of a longer term bias, but definitely a possibility. But I really like how we're firing a lot of wicks to the highs here, really struggling to maintain that bullish momentum. Overall, it's been a really corrective move to the upside as well. It looks like we're kind of pulling back into supply to the left there, and perhaps we can see a continuation, and that bearish momentum does continue. So I can see dollar CAD continuing lower. This is definitely a pair on my watch list, and I'm keeping a close eye for selling opportunities. I like where we're trading as well, back into this level of supply. I didn't like this wick here that price did print on NFP. Price tried to sell off, had aggressive move lower, but quickly ripped to the upside and of course printed that wick there. So that's a bit of a concern. We've tried to move lower from that same zone, but failed pretty spectacularly. So now we're going to see what price can do again. We're there again, a second attempt. Maybe price might consolidate a little bit. Maybe more momentum might pick up. So potentially the opportunity could improve. But if this area doesn't hold, then I will be looking for a push back to the high at 1.391 and then look for some selling opportunities at that level as well. So if this doesn't hold, that's my area of interest. But the plan for this week is a push lower and a push back to support there. As I said, we could go a lot further. So why I like dollar CAD is because of the risk reward potential, but the opportunity looks really good at that zone. So I'm going to keep a close eye on that. Probably my favored USD pair at the moment, dollar CAD. Aussie dollar showing some strength as well. Looks like we are breaking through resistance here, so that is pretty significant. And because we're breaking through resistance there, this becomes our next target, a push back to the swing high at 0.662. As price breaks through that level, that of course is our next significant level in the market. So that's where I do see price heading towards. I also spoke about on the weekly chart how we're firing a lot of wicks to the downside. It looks like we've tried numerous times to fall over and see price continue lower, but essentially it's failed. Price has found a lot of support in this area, and as a result, we're seeing a lot of wicks stabbing to the downside, basically showing price is finding support here. And now looks like slowly momentum is picked up to the upside, and a push to the swing high is now looking the most likely move. So perhaps intraday, there could be some nice pullback opportunities for Aussie dollar on the way up. I'm not really seeing much of a swing trade here, especially with the room. Not enough room to maneuver with. But intraday, if we can see that momentum continue, perhaps some pullbacks do look good. Maybe even the retest of that level and some buys back into resistance. And then perhaps some sells when we get there if we do see some adequate rejection. But yeah, Aussie dollar looking strong. I do think we can push higher. New Zealand dollar, likewise as well. Looks like we're starting to push the upside. We are threatening that bearish descending channel. So if I map in the lower highs here as well, we are seeing some strength into the high of the channel this morning. Is this price potentially respecting it to come back down, or is this price potentially getting ready for a breakout? We'll have to wait and see. We just saw a strong candle close. The next 2, 3, 4, 5 candles will kind of paint the picture for us. But we are still respecting the channel. We are still coming back to area of supply. So until we see a confident breakout like we're seeing with Aussie dollar, I wouldn't jump into anything, at least for buys anyway, but even for sells, because we're not seeing any rejection just yet. But let's say if we do see a strong candle break in the highs like this, then of course that would be a pretty strong bullish signal. At that point, looking for pullbacks and more upside. Again, intraday long opportunities, similar to what we spoke about with Aussie, I think will look really good with New Zealand dollar as well. And then on the flip side, if we do show a lot of rejection here, fire a lot of wicks, see bearish momentum pick up, this could be a great place for a short, and you could be in for a very nice swing back to lows if the channel, of course, is going to continue. So a very decisive area price is trading right now for New Zealand dollar. Like I said, the next 2, 3, 4, 5 candles will help paint the picture. So that's really what the focus will be. And depending which way we're breaking, we'll know with a bit more confidence where the next move could take us. As for gold, gold's been very bullish. We've seen a lot of upside for gold. And again, this morning, more strength coming into the market. I spoke about this area as a nice place for a buy. I still stand by it. I think that's still a great place for a buy as well. But since we are seeing some strength again this morning, you probably want to shift your focus to this area at 35.95, just below 3600. And again, this is more for intraday opportunities because, of course, gold right now is just very, very bullish. We're seeing a lot of momentum. I wouldn't want to be looking to short gold. Yes, it's overextended. At some point, we are going to put that high in and see some downside, but difficult to anticipate that high, especially in these conditions. So if you're on the lower time frames, what you could do is probably even like 50-minute chart, I would say, looking for some pullbacks into these zones. And as long as things look good, there could be some nice buys back into the high, maybe a bit further as well. You could just trail stop, see how far you could take it. But yeah, gold really crushing it, seeing a lot of momentum, high after high after high. We smashed through 3600, so the next big psychological level will be 3650, more or less over there, and then you got 3700 up there. So those are the two next big targets. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be selling gold. Only thing looking to buy. We spoke about this area. If we do see a slightly bigger pullback, that area still is valid. But we've just created a new area to focus on. And I'll keep an eye on that as well, especially for intraday longs. And silver, I believe, is doing something similar as well. Still seeing strength. Yeah, but we're kind of stuck in a consolidation here. So I wouldn't get too excited with silver just yet. I do think there's more upside to follow with silver, but I would suggest to wait for a strong breakout, a candle clearing the highs. That will show us, okay, the buyers are back in control, and perhaps, again, intraday pullbacks will be looking really good. Perhaps the retest and a continuation. Yeah. Because, again, these markets are overextended, so you don't want to kind of get too carried away with the buys. A pullback, a bigger pullback will happen at some point, and you don't want to jump into the wrong side of that. But if we do see strength clearing the highs again, well, that's a strong sign to say the buyers are back in control, and yeah, more upside would look like the likely move. So gold and silver, very bullish still. Of course, gold showing a bit more strength, silver trapped in the range, so wait for the breakout. And of course, if you do break to the downside, well, things do get a bit interesting. Might be seeing a larger pullback. I like this area down here. This could be an area to discuss, but yeah, we can discuss that as the week progresses. USD majors, still a little bit indecisive, but I quite like dollar CAD shorts. That's where my focus is. I do have a sort of an expectation that USD probably will favor a move to the downside, and we'll see dollar eventually break lower. But again, we'll be patient with that. So that might mean euro up, pound up, dollar CAD down. That's kind of what I'm gearing to, but no confirmation just yet. And dollar CAD looks decent, but I need a bit more development there. So that is where I'm with the USD for now. Good morning, people. Hope everyone's doing good. Ivan, what's up? Good morning. I already said good morning to you, didn't I? Trev, you told people to sell gold last week. Don't do that again. Lol, they lost a lot of money. I didn't tell people to sell gold. I didn't tell anyone to do anything. Yeah, I've been saying gold buys pretty much the whole time. I've never been said looking to sell gold. I think someone did ask to sell gold, and I said, so I gave some conditions about shorting gold, but they never were met. We were looking for price to break through the counter trend line, and I'm pretty sure we didn't do that. Especially with NFP, yeah, we didn't do that. Price stayed corrective, never saw the break of that. So the conditions weren't even met for it, but yeah, I was never looking to sell gold. Only looking to buy it. Anyway, Raphael, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we'll take a look at Aussie New Zealand dollar. I haven't actually been keeping up to date with that pair, to be honest, but we'll take a look. Dimar, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're good. Yusuf, as always, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Okay, a few people looking at the same idea on the Aussie New Zealand dollar. We'll take a look. Yusuf, thoughts on UJ and GJ in the 15. Yeah, we can take a look as well. Good morning, Bashi. Welcome to the stream, my man. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe and share with your friends and hit the bell. All that good stuff does really help out. Okay, pound Aussie we'll take a look at as well. Take a look at pound Aussie. You really caught a good trade there. I'm not in pound Aussie either. I haven't taken any positions on pound Aussie. Well, I did take, probably about maybe 4 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. But I haven't taken a new trade on pound Aussie since. What's up? Is that Wills? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. David, what is up? Welcome. Follow the trend. What is up? So yeah, we'll go through some requests, guys. I'll quickly share our perps platform. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do so. I do have the link to the platform in the description, and we are going to be running a competition as well. So let me get the link to that. If you are interested in participating in the competition, again, just a bit of fun to get people using the platform, testing it out. There will be rewards for the best performing traders there. So can have some fun and hopefully win some cash prize as well afterwards. But that's the link to the Google form. So if you are interested, do drop your email there. But if you haven't checked out the perps platform before, like I said, it's linked in the description. You can go test it out, use it for yourself. There is a demo environment and a live environment. So if you want to test it out in demo conditions, you can do that as well. Simply connect your Ethereum or Solana wallet to the platform. If you don't have a Ethereum or Solana wallet, you can use your email as well. But very accessible. Again, everyone available to use it. Everything is decentralized, so no restrictions. You can very much use it pretty much anywhere in the world. But allows you to trade perps. At the moment, we only have cryptocurrencies, but FX, commodities, indices will be coming very, very soon to the platform. And just like anything, you can buy, sell, set orders, stop orders, limit orders, manage positions as well. And there is some AI features which will give you risk sentiment analysis on the pair itself, 4-hour setups, and especially will give you reasons behind it as well, which is really interesting because not only kind of just giving you signals, it's kind of explaining the reason behind it, which is where the growth and the learning is. So if you're interested with the platform, like I said, check it out. I do have a full video breaking it down and how to use it. And we are going to be doing a competition on the platform as well. And if you haven't checked out Zentrix, the platform itself, go and do that. If you got $5 worth of the Zentrix token, you can have access to the platform completely I do recommend check out the signals section. There's a lot of information, a lot of signals daily as well. So if you are looking for ideas, that is a nice place to check out as well. And again, that's just the Zentrix platform, which again is linked in the description as well. Okay, so we'll go through some requests. We'll start with Aussie New Zealand dollar and take a look at UJ and GJ for Yusuf. We'll have a look at pound Aussie as well. So in terms of Aussie New Zealand dollar, a few people talking about some shorts on this one. I've actually really been kept up to date with the price action on Aussie New Zealand dollar. I've been not really interested in it, to be honest, but I have to admit, very nice trend as of late. Very nice trend, and I can see why some people are looking for some shorts, because of course price has smashed into some major resistance. If I go to the weekly chart, yeah, we are in some major resistance. So yeah, in terms of looking to short, this is the place for it. I do expect to see at least the reaction. I do think longer term we're actually likely to break through this area and come back to highs here. I'm looking at the higher lows prices building up with, and we've been very continuous, very consistent with them. And I do think longer term we probably will see a push back to the highs, but you know, that might not necessarily happen now. We could still see a move back down. That could still take a few months to potentially play out. At the moment, testing resistance. I like the wick from the last weekly candle, smash into the level, pull back a little bit, showing a bit of rejection and resistance. Daily chart was starting to slow down, becoming a lot more corrective. You can see the strength there with that candle, and now price is starting to slow down. So showing that momentum is slowing, and perhaps a push down is a bit more likely. So I do like the shorts here, but there's a couple ways you can go about it. You can either wait for price to turn and look for some pullbacks as we head lower, or you can go for the more risk approach, which is looking to try and call the highs. And like I said, it's the more risk approach, more likely to take a loss in that position. But the beauty of it is that if you do catch it well, you're positioned well, potentially catching the whole move or the reversal. What I would probably look for is probably a bit of a consolidation, because it looks like we're starting to get that anyway. And perhaps if we could build that up and then see some conviction lower, either looking to short the break of the consolidation or pullbacks shortly afterwards, will make a lot of sense there. So that's kind of the plan there with gold. I do like what I'm seeing, not gold, sorry. I do like what I'm seeing with Aussie New Zealand dollar in terms of how price is starting to slow down and build up. And the safe opportunity would be waiting for conviction lower, then some pullbacks, and then either a retest of the zone or a retest somewhere else. That would be a smart kind of approach, because price is already hitting a big level. We've ticked that box, already respecting it, ticked that box as well. So you can try and call the highs, which again are more of an aggressive approach, because price could always break through the zone and head higher. But if we're starting to see something like this happen, well, the probability is that price is having a good rejection and probably will start to see a move lower. So yeah, I think Aussie New Zealand dollar shorts are starting to take shape. I like the 1 hour and the break of the area of 1.112. Where is that? 1.112. Okay, this support there would be nice to drop further and get the retest. Yeah, we're looking at something similar then basically. Yeah, if price can show conviction below that, then yeah, you're looking at some nice opportunities. If price respects support, we could always put in another higher low, and this trend could still continue to new highs. So that's why shorts now are still what I would say is aggressive, because this trend is still in full flow. But if we can see that reverse, well, there's some opportunities there. So keep an eye on that. But in terms of where we're trading, the location of everything, it does make sense 100%. Overall trend is bullish, especially in high time frame, but I would love to catch that sell before going up. Yeah, I do agree. I think we can at least have a bounce, even if the trend is still going to continue higher. There's an opportunity for us to see that reaction. UJ and GJ in the 15, we shall take a look, no problem. I appreciate that, Bashi. Raphael, yes, pound Aussie, pound ends these shorts. We can take a look into that as well. Follow the trend DXY, possibly looking at a retest monthly support and resistance area 97. Okay, we can take a look as well. Let me go through some of the yen pairs first. So dollar yen 15, what's happened? Yeah, we had a bit of a gap, didn't we? A lot of the yen pairs did gap. And dollar yen definitely included in that. We are still trapped within the range, so not a lot of progression in that situation. No breakout to really report on. So the plan is still very much the same, looking to sell high and buy low. The gap's been interesting. I probably would adjust this to focus more so on the high there. So I would want to see price come a little bit higher before shorting. I really like the wicks that we printed last week. Or, of course, get down to the lows here before looking to buy. So for me, price is still in the middle of nowhere. Looks like we've gapped and filled that pretty much straight away. But I wouldn't be looking to do anything in the middle of that because, of course, we're in the middle of the range. Price is neither at the high, neither at the low. So strong rejection of the high. Nice push to the downside last week. More or less came back into the low. Maybe not pinpoint to the pip to the low, but, you know, support is an area, and I would say price did test support there. And we've had a bounce, of course, at that zone. So on the 15-minute chart, there's not much to discuss here, really. Yeah, nice bearish trend. We're coming back to fill the gap. Do we potentially bounce here? We could do. Would I be looking at longs? Absolutely not. So focus still remains at this area. Focus still remains down at this area. And until we get to one of those levels, I wouldn't really try and read into the details of price here, because you'll get lost in the source a little bit. Again, I'm not saying there's no opportunities. It's just not optimal to be looking at opportunities in the middle of the range. So the focus still very much is around 148.782 and 146.648. Until we get to those levels, then that's kind of where my focus will be. In terms of GJ, pound yen has been interesting. Again, still range bound, still respecting highs very well. Not really progressing anywhere. I still like the opportunity if pound yen can break to the upside. I still think that's the likely move. And if that is the case, there's a lot of upside for us to fill a pretty big move all the way to 207. I do think is still on the cards. But until then, we are trapped. So if you are looking for opportunities for GJ, looking to sell the highs and buy the lows is pretty much the play. Price did gap into resistance pretty much as we opened into the week and respected it pretty well. So if you were looking for opportunities, you know, this was the place for it. Nice kind of entry on that bearish candle there as we broke out of that kind of choppy ascending channel there. Nice conviction lower, and price has seen a nice move down. But yeah, unless we revisit that same area, I wouldn't be looking to do anything. Again, I know we've got a gap there, which price probably likely to go and fill. Same with dollar yen. But would I try and bet on that? No, not really. Looking at the conditions we're trading in, I think this is just really, really choppy price action and difficult to trade with. So again, the focus is at the highs where we've seen these reactions in the past. You know, really nice trading opportunities have been at those levels, and likewise with support. So again, with GJ, unless we rally back into resistance again, I wouldn't touch anything personally down at those lows. Not seeing much of an opportunity there with GJ. Okay, so next I'll go through dollar CHF. Okay, follow the trend. Curious to know if we can start seeing some USD strength soon and look at dollar CHF buys at 78. Okay, we can take a look at that as well. I'll go through pound Aussie and pound NZD first. Yeah, Raphael did request that, and then we can take a look at dollar CHF next. So pound Aussie, I actually do expect us to eventually break to the downside. I do expect us to break to the downside longer term. We've been trapped in this range for a while. Last time I did take a trade in pound Aussie was back over here. I didn't take any shorts on the way down. I exit my long trade up at the highs. But now price is coming back into lows. Now, there's of course two things we could do here. Only two things. Either price retest it and continue back up, or we break to the downside. There's essentially the only two things price is going to do. So it's up to us to kind of read price here, gauge what price is doing. Is it continuously respecting the level? Well, okay, maybe we are going to bounce. Or is it showing momentum, and is it likely to break through? Are we seeing strength through the support? Well, then we can speak about breakout opportunities. I do expect to see a lot more downside for pound Aussie. I do think that the trend is quite tired. I'm looking at the higher time frames, particularly the weekly chart. The fact we've cleared COVID highs there, I do think we've had this last kind of explosive move to the upside, kind of the market hitting some type of climax really. I do think price is now likely to have a bit of a correction. Maybe the trend long term is still up, but I do think there is room to the downside. So I actually do expect pound Aussie to sell off, but we could still very much bounce again before that happens. I'm not saying we're going to sell off now. We need price to break out of the consolidation to get that confirmation. Like I said, we could still bounce, and sell off maybe in 2-3 weeks time. So that's my longer term view, and that's what I expect to happen. But we'll judge price at support in terms of what we're going to do this week. So as we approach support again, this is where our focus will be. Let's see what price does. Do we start bouncing? Well, there could be some nice buys. If we do see strength through the level, we know what we're looking for. So not much to report on pound Aussie. We did bounce there last week. Nice. It wasn't anything significant. It was a nice bounce. Price just came back to respect structure and then came right back down again. So it's not like we saw a really aggressive move from that zone. Now we're coming back down there again this week. Let's see what the market does provide us. So I can't necessarily say if we're going to buy or sell because we're not at that level yet. I need to see how price reacts, and that will help for my bias. So just waiting for us to get there, and then we'll see. Pound entity, same situation here really. Price is heading towards some significant support. So you can see we've got prior resistance there, which we had a lovely breakout a few weeks ago. Looks like price is coming back to retest that same zone. Pound entity, another uptrending market. It is stuck at highs, so that is something to take note of. And that is probably the reason why I'm a little bit 50-50 with this setup. I don't quite like the aspect of us respecting the highs there. If this was lower down, then I would be a lot more confident to take the buys and take some longs back into the highs. But because price has rallied into resistance and formed a double top there, that has somewhat put me off the opportunity for looking for the breaking retest of this level for a buy. Just because I can see this being potentially a double top. First test, second test, and price coming down. And especially if I'm expecting pound Aussie to fall, pound entity is likely to follow suit as well. So because of that, it has put me off the trade. Nonetheless, it is a nice level for a buy, but I wouldn't be looking for a big swing trade, and that's typically what I'm looking for. If you're just looking for a quick bounce, I do think you will get that with pound entity, just because it's such a significant level. I kind of like how we're moving. It's very corrective, very slow. So I do think price can get here and see some type of bounce, but I do worry about the bigger move if it is going to be through the zone rather than back to highs. So if you're looking for the short-term trade, or I say short-term, it could still last for 2-3 days. If you are looking for a trade for pound NZD, I do like the buys at 2.75, but I just would be careful with this counter trend line that we don't react and potentially put a lower high and continue selling off. If that's the case, potentially close the trade a little bit early. If we do see price rally through the counter trend line, then yeah, you could be looking at a push back to highs. But because of where we are rejecting on the daily chart, it has put me off the trade in terms of that bigger swing. Still a good level, that hasn't changed, but the big swing and the room we've got to maneuver with might be a bit capped. So take that into consideration. And of course, if we do break through, then at that point, this becomes our double top, and we might be seeing price continue back to lows here. So there might be some nice shorts afterwards, but we can probably speak about that maybe in a couple of weeks' time. For now, that's the focus with pound NZD. As for dollar CHF is an interesting one. Really nice push to the downside, a lot of momentum. Follow the trend, ask if you can look for some buys. Look at the USD buys around 78. Potentially, I just wouldn't get too carried away. Whereas 78? Oh, 78 is down there. I was looking at 79.8. So you're looking at some buys at 78. Is that the case? If we can start seeing USD strength and look at USDC buys at 78. What's the significance of 78? Why have you suggested that price? I know you've got this massive dip here, but that comes into 0.7 almost. So yeah, I'm not too sure. What's the significance with 0.78? Follow the trend, let me know. In terms of my outlook for dollar CHF, at the moment things look pretty bearish. It looks like price has come back to retest some price support, turn resistance. We've seen numerous wicks into that level. So I do get the impression that dollar CHF looks like it's probably gonna do something like that and take out the lows and probably going to hit your 0.78 area, to be honest. But would I expect price to suddenly bounce? Well, it depends how we maneuver. It depends how we get there. If I'm seeing strength and aggressive candles, I wouldn't be so quick for buys. If it's a slow corrective move down, then yeah, maybe price does put another lower low in and we do see another up move. But at the same time, I would wait for a lot of development before looking to buy myself. I want price to start making some higher highs and higher lows first before I even anticipate some buys. So that's a setup that I don't see maybe for the next few weeks, really, because we have to get there first, start to break structure, start to develop some higher highs and higher lows, and that could take multiple weeks. So that's a setup, quite far into the future. It may happen. Like I said, we have to see how we get there as well. At least for this week and the upcoming, 2-3 weeks, I do think we are looking quite bearish. We tried to rally last week. It failed. That counter trend line held really, really well. Another lower high printed, another push down. So my plan for the next few days for dollar CHF is a pullback and more downside, really. I am starting to become a bit more bearish on USD. I do think price can head a little bit lower. Of course, once we do take out that low, I wouldn't really be bearish on USD anymore because we've just taken out some significant lows. I would be looking for some type of pullback. But as of now, continuous lower highs. Looks like dollar is starting to weaken. I do think price will likely head lower. So that's kind of my outlook on dollar CHF. But buys from 0.78, I will start to call that a little bit closer to when we're trading at those areas. At the moment, I can't really predict that far ahead. We'll take a look at the DXY next. London was a lot of volume this week. This week's going to be interesting. Yeah, hopefully. Again, we just had NFP last Friday. I'm hoping that we do start to see a bit of a trend form for the USD pairs and some continuous momentum. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Thoughts on Euro? Okay, we can take a look at that. Aussie CAD as well. We can take a look at that as well. On the 15, sure thing, sure thing. 78 monthly support and also first weight. Okay, yeah, I can see the logic there. Yeah, I mean, looking at the higher time frames, there is massive support to our left. I mean, the thing is, with support here on the monthly, it's kind of like a big zone to me. So it stretches from like 0.79 to like 0.7. Price could pretty much bounce anywhere within this. So I'm keeping an eye on that level, but I'm not going to read too much into it because it could bounce here, it could bounce there. And that's a big difference in price as well. So it's more so keep an eye on the level. We know it's there. If we do start to see some strength coming in, we know that, okay, if price is going to bounce here, it is a monthly level. It could really soar from here and see a lot of strength. But yeah, you're right. I do think USD has a bit more room to the downside as well. And I do think we can continue low. And of course, taking out the lows there probably would help with the buyers, getting them taken out, and then possibly we might turn bullish from then onwards. So I can see that potentially coming into play. But like I said, I'd rather wait for us to get closer to that situation before I start to actually look for some actual setups. But I can see a world where that does start to play out. For now, this is kind of my take, which is, I think, similar to yours as well. DXY, so yeah, DXY, I do agree there's more room to the downside. We are very, very flat. We've tried to rally on numerous occasions and it hasn't really been playing out. And I've got this expectation that the trend on the higher time frame is just likely to continue, especially looking at this support level here, taking that across. We're still very continuous with all the wicks into the zone. We've got a wick over there, a really exaggerated one a few weeks ago, another one, and again last week, another wick to the zone. So numerous wicks have been printed in this area. And again, when I'm seeing 2, 3, 4, 5 wicks into a zone, there's a very high chance that price is now going to move away from that zone. Very low chance that price is suddenly going to break through it. Of course, it is trading. Anything could happen, but I've got to play the probability. I've got to play the likelihood of what the most likely outcome will be. And since we're finding a lot of resistance there, I would suggest DXY is quite likely to see a drop. So I am hinting towards a bearish bias for the DXY. The reason why I'm not shorting anything just yet is because we are still met with this support level here, and we could still see another bounce before we drop. So I don't want to mistime that situation, but I do feel like DXY eventually is going to give us that break, and then that's when we do see the opportunities and we do see that weakness come into play. So yeah, I do think dollar's still got a bit more room to the downside. If you do get back to the lows, you'll be looking at a push down to 96.4. That's still a fair distance between where current price is and that low. So there's still a decent chunk, a decent move to be taken advantage of there on the DXY. So a move like that probably will help dollar CHF fall, dollar CAD fall, euro push back to highs, probably pound USD eventually break to the upside as well. Aussie dollar gets back to highs. So there's a lot of opportunity there, but we do need to clear support, and it's been very, very stubborn at this moment in time. Okay, so I'll take a look at euro and Aussie CAD for Yusuf, Raphael. Okay, we can go through oil as well. And New Zealand dollar, okay, no problem. So in terms of euro dollar, again, if I'm expecting USD to break down, then that means by default I'm expecting price for euro USD to break to the upside. So I do expect us to continue higher, back to 1.18310. But of course, we do need to clear this resistance level first. That's the main thing. If price can clear this resistance, then we've got the green light for more upside. But at this moment in time, we're still trapped at resistance. So again, what you're looking for, especially on the lower time frames, is evidence that this level is going to hold, or of course evidence for the breakout. At the moment, we're a little bit flat. What you could wait for is maybe price to show some more rejection and some strength heading lower, and that would be a nice entry in itself on the 15 to take some shorts. Or of course, if the market does go and break the high here to your left, well, you probably are looking at a continuous uptrend, some higher highs and higher lows coming into place. Then on the 50-minute, your job is looking for pullbacks and then more upside. So if you do see a rally take out 1.176, that would be a nice buying opportunity in my book, because at that point you probably got the breakout. I probably hope to see some strength from the full hour as well, some nice candle closures breaking through the high, and then I can drop to the 15 and look for some type of pullback for some continuations with the high at 1.183 as my target. So yeah, just keep an eye on this level. We're testing resistance now. I wouldn't say we've seen any significant rejection that would equal some shorts just yet. We are still a little bit corrective, but we are holding the level. So like I said, if price consolidates, maybe double tops and then starts to break lower, that could be a nice short. On the flip, if price does pick up some strength and does take out highs, then we know we're looking for pullbacks for a buy. So it's still 50-50 right now with euro, just like DXY. We need to see what price can do with this level this week, and then that will paint the picture. But at the moment, still holding as resistance. And Aussie CAD longs on the 15-minute chart. I mean, on the 4 hour, we're seeing a lot of strength. Have we hit the? Okay, no, we haven't. I thought we hit the level yet. We haven't. We still got a bit of room. But yeah, ever since price has now cleared this resistance level, so the next target is simply a pushback to highs at 0.91152. So not quite there yet. We're seeing a lot of strength on this breakout, so you can kind of take advantage of that with that momentum, especially intraday as well. But yeah, I do expect a bit more upside. We either continuous and we keep pushing, or maybe we go back, we have a bigger pullback, and then we continue. That's the two situations I'm looking at. And looking on the 50-minute chart, I probably would favor the first one. A lot of strength on that breakout. Still seeing some strength with this move. It's not like we're really corrective right now. If we were corrective, then yeah, I might favor that bigger pullback. But we're still seeing strength. Still clearing highs very well. I would have this area here as an area of interest. Hopefully a nice slow corrective pullback. I think that would be a smart place for a buy, at least back to previous highs, but I do think you can just push it that bit further into the daily zone at 0.9115. So yeah, Aussie CAD, very bullish. I like the momentum, a lot of conviction with this move. Lovely pullback, still see momentum with this drive. Has left behind a nice area of demand where we did see that momentum from. So by default, looking for every test of that level. Hopefully nice reactions and at least betting on a push back to the previous high, but more so into that daily zone. And if we do have a greater pullback, and let's say if we do go and break structure and see that deeper pullback, well, then you're looking for us to kind of either bottom out here and take some buys off the low, or start to trend again bullish, and then find some entries on the pullback along the way. But if we do that, we can probably speak more about that. For now, this is what the focus will be. So yeah, I'm quite liking the momentum. Really, really aggressive. I do think we're likely to continue to rally and push to that daily resistance, I think, is the next likely bet. Okay, so we can go through okay, so oil daily 4 hour, should we short or long it? Okay. And New Zealand dollar. Oil's interesting. I had a look at this one this morning and it was respecting support, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, really, really well. So I am actually favoring shorts for oil, but there's a time and a place. Just because you're bearish doesn't necessarily mean you should be shorting right now. You have to time that and you have to look for sensible locations to actually trade that bias. And because price is breaking through key support and resistance right now, trading below it. Last week we had a really nice shooting star pattern, nice wick into the zone, closed bearish. I do expect us to head lower. And on the daily chart, had a nice level of support here. Price has come back for the retest, sort of faked it to the upside there as well, and again had a nice push lower. But we are respecting support very strongly. So would I still be looking to short it? Probably not. What would have been a nice short is if this momentum continued through the low, and then you're looking for a pullback of that, because then you can be pretty confident that price is going to continue lower, because we're still seeing lows, we're still seeing momentum. The fact that we did bounce really strongly off this low is a bit of a worry and does put me off the idea of shorting oil. Doesn't mean you can't still go lower, but it has put me off because we are respecting lows rather than breaking through them. If we did break through them, I would have probably talked about just a pullback to this zone. Let's say if price did clear that level well, either a retest of this area or a pullback into that supply zone would have been a healthy place to short. But again, because we're respecting the low, would I be looking to short here? No, not anymore, to be honest. Not anymore. I think there could still be some downside, but I would really be looking for a small reaction rather than a continuation trade, because there is no continuation. If we're looking for a continuation, you want price to be making higher highs or lower lows, and we're not doing either of that at the moment. So yeah, I wouldn't be looking to buy or sell oil based on that respect. I'll probably now wait for more information and more candlesticks to print, because I'm not seeing quite a clear opportunity, because this could end up forming some type of range. There's your highs, there's your lows, and now we're kind of pushing towards the middle of the range, which is the most awkward place for it. Just because we are pushing back into a nice supply level, I wouldn't get too excited, because this supply level just smacked into support and respected it really, really well. So personally, I'm not seeing much, to be honest. If this was myself looking at oil, my take would be just to pause now, because we didn't break through lows. Let's see what we do. Do we break back to the upside again and take out highs? Well, that will completely change my bias for oil. We'll be looking at this as a bottom, and my plan would now be looking for some pullbacks and some more upside. If price does pull back and does eventually take lows out, great. Then I'll be looking for some pullbacks or retest some structure. There's still a lot of room to trade into. This is where I would expect us to end up if we are going to continue bearish. So I don't need to be shorting straight away. I can find a small piece of the pie later on, and this will be something of high probability. At the moment, not quite clear on oil. Not quite clear. Especially in the 4-hour chart, I wouldn't do anything right now, especially after that reaction at that low. Need a bit more information with oil. I would be bearish coming to the week, but we didn't break the low there, so... Oh, we haven't broken the low yet, I should say. We could still do that, but we shall see. Okay, New Zealand dollar and the DAX. Long on the daily, short on the 4-hour. Okay, we can have a look at that. Yusuf, no problem, happy to help. Follow the trend, no problem, happy to help. LFTJ, BTC, what's up? BTC, what's up? I meant to say what's up, LFTJ. BTC looking for a buy on the 4. Okay, we can take a look at that. I'm not quite convinced with the buyers on BTC that the price actually been a bit slow, but we can discuss. Dollar seat chef, okay, we can take a look. Bashi, appreciate it, my man. No problem, take your phone call. Take your phone call, Bashi. Okay, so New Zealand dollar and the DAX, and then we can take a look at dollar Swiss. So yeah, New Zealand dollar, as I mentioned, we are at a very critical area. We've got this long-standing bearish channel. Price has been very consistent with lower high after lower high after lower high, and price has been continuous with these highs, and we could be looking to form another one. It's up to what we see in this area, which will help dictate that bias. Are we seeing rejection? Are we seeing wicks? Are we seeing strength with some bearish closures? Okay, then the shorts make sense here, and we're probably going to head lower. If we do see price pick up momentum again and see some strength and a strong closure above that level, well, then we're not really looking to short, are we? We're more so looking for buying opportunities. Maybe this is the start of an uptrend, and then we can look for continuations of that. So with New Zealand dollar, it really depends what we do at this level. You said you're looking too long on the daily chart. Probably wouldn't be looking too long yet. Like I said, I will still wait for a break of that channel, because if you long now, you are literally buying into the high of that zone, which may break. I'm not saying we won't break, but at the same time, the current daily chart, the current daily candle, could end up pulling back and leaving a big wick, and then you're in an awkward situation. So let's see how this candle does close. Friday's candle didn't really provide much information. Yes, it was a nice bullish close, but we closed directly into resistance. So like price has done anything in terms of momentum or breaking a zone. So there's nothing really to take off that area. This is a really correct to move down. So again, I do get the impression that price could be looking to make a move up. So in terms of the bias, in terms of the direction, I kind of do agree. I do expect us to probably eventually make that move, but let's actually get the breakout. Then you can either look to buy on the breakout or some pullbacks, and probably you might want to drop to the lower time frames to really take advantage of that in terms of the risk to reward. And then yeah, maybe a swing back to highs is the best play. So yeah, I'm not quite seeing the longs on the daily just yet, especially where we're trading. Not the time in place for me to be looking to buy something. But break it, sure, I can see that move. Okay, so in terms of the DAX, you said some shorts on the 4-hour. So yeah, the DAX did make a significant move last week, breaking through support here, and almost making it to lows, but pretty much doing so. So going forward with the DAX, if I'm looking to short this one, it's because price is now coming back to retest this zone here. So if I'm looking to short this, I need price to be trading in this area. And then yeah, then I absolutely agree with a short, provided we see some healthy rejection, some wicks, maybe some bearish engulfing candles closing, then yeah, I do agree with the short. So the DAX, it does look like it's running out of steam. If I go to the daily chart, it does look like to me we are forming some type of rounded top here. So we've been trying to see strength, trying to continue the trend, but essentially we're topping out, and maybe a push to these lows again, or even these lows could be the next bigger move, maybe even further than that as well. If I do whack on a nice Fibonacci from the last major swing to the high, push the 50%, 0.618, could see a take like that and then a continuation. So again, I don't necessarily speculate on that too much, but there is that possibility. And the fact that we have broken through very significant resistance, support, turn resistance, is definitely painting that picture. So yeah, shorts on the 4 hour I do like around 23,984, and then we'll go from there. And yeah, targets back to the prior low, and maybe this low here as well. But I can see some shorts there on the DAX. As for BTC, so yeah, like I said, I'm not too much of a fan of buying BTC just yet, just because of how corrective we are looking. I mean, we have been really corrective on the way down, so that does give me the impression that eventually we are probably going to push up higher. But we have had some trouble around this area here, which has proven to be significant resistance and support as well. So maybe if we can see some strength through this area and then some longs afterwards, I like the look of, because then we'll be above critical support resistance. We'll probably see some strength come into the market. So now the plan is looking to follow that strength rather than create the strength you're getting before the strength has happened, and also buying directly into resistance as well. So some buys on the 4 hour chart look good if we can see a bit more conviction, because we'll be breaking above a key area. This looks really corrective, so it doesn't give me any confidence to look to buy. I wouldn't be surprised if we tap into resistance and roll back over again. So yeah, I need a bit more from BTC, something like this to really show that, okay, the buyers have entered the market, and then the plan very much is just looking for a pullback and some more buys. Here, not quite seeing that. Not quite seeing that. So yeah, BTC, if we are going to long, I need some strength coming into the market, and then I'll be happy to try and find the continuation of that. At the same time, we are testing resistance, and if we keep respecting that level, we can definitely roll back over and push back into the low. So it's really depending what we do here. But Bitcoin is one of those markets where I like to find pullbacks, especially after a strong move. If market makes like a really strong move, there's always a good chance that BTC is going to continue that. When things are corrective and choppy, normally that's where I want to stay away from, because that's where BTC becomes a little bit difficult to read. And at least in my opinion, the opportunity is a little bit harder to come by. But when we are trending, when direction is clear, looking for pullbacks of those moves becomes straightforward. Doesn't mean you'll have a 100% win rate, but the game plan is pretty straightforward. So if we can get that push, sure, I do think we can see some buys. Loretta, yeah, we can take a look at Dollar CHF next. Sangar, yes, we can take a look at the DXY as well. FX Bashi, live stream weekly Forex Outlook was fun. Nice. I'm going to just post a video for that on the weekend. But yeah, I mean, again, that's the beauty of live streams. Whack it up, get the community going, and they're fun to do as well, especially when you've got a good crowd. Dollar CHF. So I am pretty bearish on this one, looking for a lot more downside. I actually quite like Dollar CHF. My favorite USD pair is Dollar CAD at the moment to jump into an opportunity, but Dollar CHF, I do see more downside for this one. Again, I'm leaning towards a bearish bias for the DXY. Excuse me. So if that's the case, more USD strength could be coming into play. And if more USD strength is coming into play, that should mean more downside for Dollar Swiss. So in terms of an opportunity, ideally, it would be nice to pull back into this area here, because you've got the trend line, you've got the consolidation that gave you this momentum. So that's really where I like to short it from, and hopefully catch the next lower high, so on and so forth. It just depends how much of a pullback price will give you. Sometimes we might pick up some pace, we might get a small correction and then continue. Maybe we do see another swing like we did over here. that would be the most optimal place for a sell. But yeah, it's a waiting game to see if we will get there or not. But in terms of direction, 0.787 is where I do expect us to end up next at that wick low. I'd suggest maybe keep an eye on the breaking test of the low there, just in case if we do have more of a shallow pullback. It's probably where I do see it happening if we are going to continue that momentum. Otherwise, 0.803 I think is looking really, really good. And then yeah, more downside from there for dollar CHF. I am pretty bearish on this one. Okay, so we'll go through DXY. Coming also editing stuff. Yeah, editing can sometimes be a bit of a pain, especially longer videos as well. LFTG, no problem. Didn't know that it was there recent zone few. Yeah, sometimes just zooming out, look at the bigger picture can help spotting those areas. Again, you're not going to be 100% every time know exactly every single level there is, but sometimes just scaling a little bit higher will provide a little bit of a bigger picture. But I do like the buys for BTC because we've been so slow on the way down and we are still very much in that uptrend. And if you do see some strength above that level, I do think the buys make a lot of sense there. But I think it's just a bit too early right now. King, pound NZD, yes, we can take a look at that as well. Yeah, I mean, again, live streams are simple as well. Get them up, get them going. Start when you want, end when you want. With videos, you do need to take some time to record it, edit it, publish it. Can be a little bit more time consuming. I think the ease of just live streams and even the community that live streams do develop, I think it's sometimes can be better than posting videos, but I think both of them together is probably the best balance. In terms of DXY, did I look at DXY? No, I didn't look at DXY. DXY, yeah. So I am pretty bearish with this one, as I mentioned earlier. Wix prices printing into that zone is significant. It's continuous now. Past 2 weeks were really significant, and again last week as well. And of course, we've had that massive wick there. Price tried to continue. So I do think it's a matter of time before price does drop to the downside. It's going to take a lot of energy for us to break to the upside if that is what dollar's going to do. It's going to take a lot of strength for that to happen. So, and typically price does move in the path of least resistance. I would definitely say the least resistance is to the downside in this case. So with all that said, I do think dollar is likely to drop. But the reason why we can't, or it's a bit difficult to short the pair right now, or short the market right now, is because we are trading in a very significant level of support. So basically, what I'm looking for is the break of that level. Once we do see a significant enough break, let's say we get a nice candle closure, clearing the lows like that, that's what I'm looking for to now say, okay, bears are in the market, we've broken through support. As long as we don't go and break back above in the next 2-3 candles, I'm looking for us to do something like that, and that becomes the opportunity for this week. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Otherwise, if we are still going to respect this level, there might still be some nice buys back to the high of the range, which I'm not really interested in. I'm not really interested with anything in the middle here. I'm more so just looking for the breakouts. So this is really what I'm looking for this week. It's not quite here yet, but that's what I do think will eventually come. So that's really what I'm focused on. Buys on euro, maybe some buys on pounds, sells on dollar CAD, maybe some sells on dollar CHF if we do see that bigger pullback there as well. Those are the setups I'm really interested in, but we need that confirmation with DXY breaking out. And then all those setups I just mentioned become quite high probability. So yeah, waiting for that, the DXY to make its move. Okay, so pound NZD we can take a look at next for King. Yusuf, suggestion, how about YouTube Shorts live. I didn't know you could short. I didn't know you could do live stream on a short. That is news to me, Yusuf. Do you mean clipping segments from a live stream and posting it on a short? Or are you talking about going live on a short? As in the short is live? Because I had no idea you could do that. Especially because the short's like, what, 90 seconds? So I don't really understand that. So yeah, let me know, Yusuf. I'll take a look at pound NZD. So yeah, pound NZD is an interesting one. The market overall is still pretty bullish, and the trend is up. So by default, naturally, I'm looking for buying opportunities. But the only thing I don't like about pound NZD is that we have come crashing back into this high, and that has put me off looking to buy it, especially because of how he rejected it as well. So yes, momentum's up. We did see some strength over the past few weeks. We are now coming back to retest some structure. You know, prior resistance over here, now turn support. This is definitely an area which price can at least bounce from. But in terms of looking for the next big swing back to highs, maybe beyond that, I do have my reservations because we are testing an area, a significant area. And I can see a world where we do go and potentially put a big double top in and more downside. And I do think the trend is a little bit stretched, is a little bit overextended. If this was like a new trend starting, I could probably get away with that. But because it's been going on for a while, as we come back into highs like that, it does maybe be a bit more reserved and a bit more careful about my buying opportunities, especially if I'm looking for a big swing trade. Because when you are looking to take swing trades, it's important to know what phase you are in the trend and the location of it as well. Now, has the trend been going on for quite a while? Well, if that is so, then any opportunities you are looking at following that trend need to be a bit more on a shorter kind of outlook, because we've already seen the bulk of that trend. Doesn't mean it can't still continue. The trend, of course, could still continue for how long it wants to continue, but just by default, on average, you're not going to get much juice out of the trends that have already continued quite far versus the trends that just started. So because of that, especially because of the fact we're respecting the highs, it does put me off looking for a big swing trade. I do think nonetheless we can still bounce at this level, but I would be very careful as we do approach the counter trend line here. That price doesn't rally into that level, puts a lower high in, and potentially falls back against me. So if you're looking for a trade for like a day or two, looking for a bounce of support, I do expect to see that happen at this area, 2.27. Let's see how price gets there. We're not too far away, and how we do react with the level. But I'm not looking for the big swing trade. If this was early in the trend, sure, I do think price can make a swing back to highs. But because of where we are, how late we are in the trend, where price is rejecting, just looking for more of a short-term bounce, I think is the best opportunity right now. And then we'll go from there. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with pound NZD. Oh, going live. Yeah, I had no idea you could go live on a short. I don't know how that works, because whole point of a short is to keep it short. Unless you just got like a situation where you can continuously go live. But yeah, I've never seen that before. Actually, maybe I have seen that. I don't think that was YouTube. I think that was somewhere else. Anyway, I'll look into that, Yusuf. I don't really know what it's called, but they're two different things. Okay. What's up, Lighton? Welcome to the stream, my man. Hope you are doing good. Aussie Chef, Euro Pound, after aggressive pairs, no problem. We can take a look. But yeah, let me know if you can find that. I'll probably research it as well, but I had no idea that was a thing, to be honest. Okay, Aussie, Swiss, and euro pound. So yeah, with Aussie CHF, it's an interesting one because, well, if I zoom out to the daily chart, we have been in a pretty long consolidation. There's some kind of looking as a bit of a fake out there because we respected this so many occasions. But I am looking at this as potentially a bit of a bottom. We've had a really corrective grind lower. I'm not really convinced by that. I do think price is likely going to push the upside. I'm not quite convinced that we're going to continue to lows. If that is the case, then I do want to see price really break through support here, and then the shorts become of high quality, because if we are breaking through this, especially with conviction, then yeah, I do expect us to roll over. But that's not the case. We had a really aggressive drop a few weeks back. All it did was respect support. Now price is pushing back up again. Of course, we are struggling at resistance at the moment, but I do think longer term we are likely to break higher. So the plan for Aussie CHF is waiting for a strong break like this, and that will be the green light to be looking to buy Aussie CHF and hopefully at least take it back to highs here at 0.5273. Now I'm not too sure about the time horizon, how big of a move you're looking for, but I think even if you are looking for a big move or a small move, just waiting for price to kind of get the better of this range and break out of it and actually see some momentum and a trend forming. Whether you are looking for just intraday pullbacks and some buying opportunities for a day or two, or you're looking for that big swing, I think there's opportunities for both type of setups once we do see that breakout. And then hopefully pullbacks and retest can start to form, and then yeah, onwards and upwards for Aussie CHF. So I am still longer term bullish. Again, the fact that we are coming from all-time lows does make me bullish as well. Not that we can't still go further, not that we can't still create new all-time lows. That could definitely happen, but I do think price is more likely to see upside longer term. So as we do consolidate, if we can see some conviction to the upside, here we tried to, it just didn't amount to much. It was a fake out essentially. Momentum didn't continue. So hopefully next time we do see some conviction and we stay above. And if that's the case, looking for a swing back to 0.542 at the very least, to be honest. So that is the plan now for Aussie CHF, looking for price to eventually get that reversal. Euro pound, that's still been quite flat as well. I haven't really seen much an opportunity to trade euro pound. We have a very significant level of support heading through the market at 0.86044. We've done a pretty good job at staying above that. The way I see euro pound right now is that this trend is starting to tire. We're fading at highs to our left here. I do think price is eventually going to break to the downside like so. So I do think euro pound is likely to push lower, but of course I'm not looking to trade that bias until we actually do make that break, and then hopefully some pullbacks either to retest the level or retest some structure somewhere else will be the plan. The reason why I'm expecting that drop is, again, because not only are we respecting highs to our left, not only because we failed at creating new highs recently, but also this up move just looks really, really slow and really, really knackered as well. So it's not giving me much hope to be looking for buying opportunities. So yeah, I do kind of look at this as a big correction, and I do think we're likely to eventually push down. There might be some short-term buys back to resistance again. I can see price respecting demand here pretty well. Maybe another push down. You might still get a nice intraday buy back into resistance, but I wouldn't be necessarily betting on a push back to highs and new highs there. I do think we're likely to eventually roll back over. So some short-term moves for euro pound. Maybe there might be some buys. I want to see a bit more rejection there because we are looking very choppy on the way up. So maybe a push down, double bottom. That might be a nice buy back into resistance. But I do see us moving a lot lower. And the opportunity I'm really waiting for euro pound is when we clear the lows here. Then I do think the trend we had on the way up, we could probably see something similar on the way down. And those could provide some really nice shorts to take advantage of. But apart from that, very, very sideways stuff for euro pound. So if you are going to take some buys here, I would keep it short term and not get too carried away. These are really choppy conditions. Dmar, no, I have not looked at Swiss yen. If I have missed out a pair, let me know, guys. Sometimes I do miss a pair if I do get distracted or if I forget a pair. But yeah, we can take a look at Swiss yen, no problem. Swiss yen, I'm pretty sure gap to the upside, didn't it? Yeah, it did. Very big gap. Very choppy. Yeah, Euro pound is very choppy. Not a fan favorite of Euro pound at the moment, I must say. But if we can break support, I think there is going to be a nice trend to follow. And then Euro pound will be something I quite like. But yeah, Swiss yen back at all-time highs and struggling to break through it, at least for now anyway. You can see the momentum here on the weekly chart. Very big breakout. We've had some type of downside. It looks like that was just a pullback. Now we're back at highs. Are we going to see some new highs, or is price going to top out here? I think that's what the next few candles, the next couple of days will give us the answer to. If we do push down, I would still be looking at buys. We've been very consistent with these higher lows here. So if price does pull back down, as long as it's nice and corrective, this could still very much be a nice buy. If it's aggressive on the way down, then I would be careful, because we are rejecting highs here. This could be a big double top, and perhaps we are going to top out and see a lot more downside. So if we can be nice and corrective, slow on the way down, this is like a nice area of demand. We consolidated, did produce some strength down the way up. I know it's a big gap, but essentially that gave us that move there, that continuation. So now this becomes an interesting area for a buy. As long as it's nice and corrective, nice and slow, I do think some buys here look good, at least back to the highs, and then maybe the trend does continue further. But now for Swiss yen, I would be pretty bullish. I wouldn't necessarily be trying to call the highs here. I would try and follow momentum for as long as possible, as long as it makes sense to do so. And then we'll see how far we can take it. But yeah, especially with a market that is bullish on the monthly, daily, weekly, daily, full hour, all the major time frames are pointing up for Swiss yen. So I know we're back at resistance, but price could easily break through this. There'll be a lot of stop losses above the highs here. It's not going to take much for price to break through the highs, especially with the backing of all those higher time frames in the same direction. Price could easily wick through the highs and then decide to reverse. So I'd rather be on the buyer side of things for now, and then we can speak about the sells if we do start to see some bearish structure. Because don't get me wrong, the market is overextended and it is in need of a much bigger retracement than the few bearish candles we saw there. I do think there is a lot more downside, but we don't want to get too carried away with that, because we could still trend for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks before we do see that move. And there could be some nice buys on the way up, and you don't want to miss on them as well. So yeah, for now, that's the plan with Swiss yen, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so next we're going to take a look at some pairs on my watch list, because I haven't actually gone through that yet, and I want to go through some. I mean, I don't have many pairs, but I do like the look of oh, what the hell? I actually banned someone. Oh no, how do I undo that? Oops. Actually, I know how to undo that. I need to go to my settings and remove them from there. I'll do that after the stream. Apologies there. Actually, that's not the first time I've accidentally banned someone. I've done that a couple occasions, but I know how to undo it. Euro USD we can take a look at next. Where was I? All right, take care, FX Bashi. Have a good one, man. Yusuf, I did some research on it basically. YouTube live. Okay. Oh, okay. So it's basically just the same stream but vertical format. Interesting. Yeah, I think I might have seen that. I'm not sure if it was on YouTube. It might be like Instagram. Not Instagram, maybe TikTok. But yeah, I can look into that. Okay. Thanks, Yusuf. I'll definitely look into that. Euro USD, we can take a look at that next. Is that Zaman? Do gold, I'm confused. Sure thing, we can look at gold as well. No problem, Dimar, happy to help. I know, Bashi. I've been streaming for this long and I'm still making some boo-boos. Yusuf, you can use Streamlabs or Orbs to do that, okay. I use StreamYard, but I'm sure I'll be able to do it with StreamYard as well. See, yeah, I was fiddling around, but yeah, I did not mean to do that. Okay, we can take a look at Euro, and we can do gold first, then Euro. So yeah, gold. Yeah, if the thing is, if you are confused with a pair, there's no need to try and get unconfused with it. If you're confused, the best thing to do is not trade it. There's some times where I look at the pair and I'm confused as well. I'm like, I don't know what price is doing. Let me leave that pair alone, come back the next day. Maybe I'll have some more clarity. Because there will be times where things are just chaotic and just not making sense, depending your style of analysis, your style of strategy. There will be times where it's just the price action is redundant. If that's the case, the worst thing to do is trying to keep analyzing to try and make understanding of it, because the trade you eventually take is probably not going to be a good one. You want to analyze a chart and have a confident conclusion what you expect the market to do. If you find yourself in that situation where you're like, okay, I do expect price to hit this target, there's a good likelihood because of this, and that, then yeah, any trade you do take, you'll be fairly confident with. It doesn't mean it will always play out, but at least there is some confidence there. The worst thing to do is take a trade based on nothingness. But for me, the gold is very, very bullish. So for me, in terms of direction, it's just very, very clear to me anyway, because the trend is up. I'm seeing consistent higher highs and higher lows. Momentum's still strong. We're still seeing strength with the candle closures. Momentum's up. Well, all-time highs as well. So the trend is just very much up. We are bullish. So if you're looking to trade gold, my take on this is just looking to buy the intraday pullbacks and keep taking advantage of momentum. Eventually, gold is going to hit a top. It is going to run out of juice at some point in time, and we'll see signs of that. We'll see some big bearish closures. We'll probably see some break of structure. We'll see bearish momentum. We'll see signs of that. At the moment, there is no signs of that. So for now, you're looking at pullbacks and you're just trying to buy the dips. Dropping to the 15, this consolidation, which we marked on the 4-hour chart, by default will be a nice place for a buy on the 15 as well. Convincing rally. If we can see a nice corrective pullback of that nature, I think buys there make a whole lot of sense, and the push back to wherever we form the recent highs at, and maybe a bit further as well. So gold to me, in terms of the direction and the trend, that's pretty clear to me, at least anyway, because the trend is as clear as day right now. So the plan is very much looking for pullbacks and then more upside. And in terms of an area which pullbacks make sense in, around 35.96 to me looks good. And then we'll go from there. And if we do start to see signs of reversal, we'll speak about it. But for now, there is no signs. Okay, so we can go through Euro. I don't understand what you mean cash out FX. I'm running away from home to trade. I'm not too sure what that means. But yeah, we can take a look at Euro next. Why gold look like selling but everyone's saying buying? I mean, that's probably up to you, to be honest, isn't it? Why do you see selling? Again, people say buy, people say sell. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It just matters the opportunity that you take and the trade that you take. That's what goes on the score sheet at the end of the day. And I'm sure you have your logic as to why you're looking to sell gold. Of course, I do understand it in terms of, okay, the market has had a massive move at all-time highs. It's likely going to eventually push down 100%. But trying to predict when that is going to happen, at least with a trade, is going to be very difficult to do unless you're very, very patient and you wait for the trend to actually shift, which at the moment, we're not seeing any signs of that. So if you're looking to sell because the market's gone up a lot and you expect it to come back down, that is a correct idea because eventually at some point it will do that. But there is no signs of that happening yet. So you have to be patient. It's not necessarily you can look to the left and say, okay, I'm waiting for price to hit this level, because there is no level. We haven't been here before. So you're kind of waiting for price to start to, do something like this to actually sell. Fail at highs, create lower highs. That's what you're looking for before you're shorting. Or at least that's what I'll be looking for before I do short gold. Because when gold does eventually turn around, there will be some nice shorts. There will be a lot of momentum to the downside, because a lot of people will be trapped in some buys, and eventually that is going to flush, and we are going to see a pretty nice move down and a bigger correction. So that will happen, but it could happen today, it could happen next week, it could happen next month, and there could be a lot of buying opportunities on the way up where you can make a bunch of profit and then sell it when it's time to sell as well. So yeah, from a seller's bias, there is logic there, but it's way too early and difficult to suggest if it will sell now. What I can say with a lot of confidence is that momentum is still up, and if we do see a healthy pullback, there is a very likely chance that price will continue. So that's why I'm bullish now. But sells eventually, sure, but it's too early to say. I'm going to run away from home and trade my new phone account. Why didn't you just do that at home? Why do you have to run away from home? I don't understand that bit. In terms of Euro USD, so Euro again, very flat, difficult to tell what price is going to do next. I am slightly bullish on Euro. I do eventually expect us to break to the upside, but again, I'm waiting for us to make that breakout. There's not much we can do with expectation. It's about what price is doing. So yes, I might have the expectation that price is going to break to the upside, but until we actually make that move, there's nothing for me to do, because once we do break to the upside, then this opportunity comes into play, breakout, retest, and then some buys there, and that's the game plan from then onwards. So Euro, I do see us pushing back to highs. I do think we can see price continue higher. I do think dollar is going to continue to weaken. I do think DXY will fall there, so naturally I think Euro will push up higher because of that, but it's too early for that just yet, at least in terms of finding entries and actually trading that opportunity. So waiting for the breakout, then looking for some pullbacks, and some buys back to the swing high at 1.183 will be the plan for Euro USD. At the moment, we're just fluctuating in this range, and if you're looking for some short-term trades, I would recommend just looking to sell the highs. It has been very profitable so far. Buying the lows has been very profitable so far as well. So until we get the breakout, there will be those shorter-term trades to take off the high, off the low. Then when we eventually get the breakout, we can speak about pullbacks and some trending opportunities. But till then, we could easily see another push back down. So it's just about patience, waiting for that breakout. Vladone pound CAD. Yep, we can take a look at that. No problem. No problem, Zayman. Happy to help. Because you have to go to school. Yeah, I'm still quite confused. But yeah, I mean, good luck with that, man. But again, you don't have to stop. I don't know if you're talking about stopping school to continue trade. You can very much do both. What's the best timeline for gold? Do you mean when is price going to drop? That's something I wish I knew the answer to. I don't know. If you're talking about time frame to trade gold, well, that's any time frame you want, really. I would suggest if you're looking for buying opportunities in terms of pullbacks, at the moment, I would suggest maybe like a 15-minute chart would probably be the best. Anything higher than that, it's difficult to find some good pullbacks because you're only seeing very slight moves down. So I think 15-minute charts are really good for pullbacks at the moment. But that could change in the next week. Maybe hourly or 4-hour charts are better for pullbacks because might be seeing a bit more strength of the pullbacks. So that could change. In terms of time frames, it just depends what you want to trade, really. I trade the 4-hour chart. That's where I stick to. It's up to you which time frame you want to trade with. But if you're talking about like timeline in terms of when we're going to sell off, that's anyone's guess, really. Pound CAD. Pound CAD's an interesting one. We've just been back and forth in this range. I actually liked it. Stuck at the highs here. And the lows here as well. And now price is back at resistance again. So we could be looking at another sell. Or a breakout, which I've got a feeling we do break to the upside though. Because of what pound USD... Because I'm expecting pound USD to break to the upside. And because pound USD and pound CAD are very correlated. I do think we can see price break to the upside as well, especially because we had this massive sell-off and price reversed really aggressively. So with pound CAD, there might be some short-term sell opportunities at the high. I wouldn't get too confident about a huge swing. Sure, I do think we can see a reaction, but I do think eventually price will break to the upside. So in the time being, I think some sells look good. Like I said, don't get too carried away because I do think price will likely break through. And if you do break to the upside, well, we could be looking at a lot more upside and a push, at the very least, back to the highs here, but probably even beyond that as well. I actually don't mind the longs from here. I like the consolidation, I like the breakout. If we can push down nice and slow, this could be a nice place for a buy. But this would be better because we're clearing major resistance and then you expect the trend to continue. So yeah, I am favoring bullish price action on pound CAD. Yes, there might be some short-term sells off the high there, but I do think the bigger move will be to the upside. So whether we get a bigger pullback into the zone or a break and retest, either which way, 1.883 is where I do see price heading towards. So pretty bullish for now on pound CAD. CP, yep, we can take a look at dollar yen for you, no problem. Alex, good morning, my man. Hope you're doing good. Selling euro USD in the 15, what do you think? I did say I wanted a little bit more before I would short on the 15. We are at some nice resistance, but I did say earlier I kind of want price to maybe fail at highs again, then break structure. That could be a nice short, something like this. And then you can be looking at a swing back into these areas. Because essentially it's either going to reject or not. You can see prior times that price has rejected. Been some decent sell-offs. We could very much see price do something of that manner again. So I would wait for a little bit more strength in the rejection before jumping into anything. Like I said, maybe a nice double top, then price break structure off the back of that. I think that would be a smart sell opportunity. Yeah, at the moment, I'm not quite convinced. This is more like a pullback, if anything. So yeah, I would wait a bit more evidence before shorting personally. And then hopefully after a double top, maybe break of lows or a really strong rejection at the high, that could convince me. But at the moment, not quite. In terms of location where you're selling from, I think it's a great place, right at the high of the range. If we are going to sell off, this is the time and place for it. But I would wait for a little bit more evidence before jumping into a short myself. Okay, dollar yen oil, we shall take a look at. Yusuf. Okay, yeah, we can take a look at yen basket for you, no problem. Okay, so dollar yen, CP mentioned short or long. Neither, to be honest, neither. We're in the middle of a range. This is the worst place to do anything. You got your clear lows down there. You got your highs up there. Right now, this is the worst place to do anything. I wouldn't look to buy or sell. If I'm looking for a buy, it's because price is at the low of the range and I'm looking for a bounce. If I'm looking for a sell, it's because price is at the high of the range and I'm looking for a short. Those are the only places right now for dollar yen that makes sense to me for a buy or a sell. Anywhere else, no. Or of course, if you do break out, then looking for pullbacks and retest after that makes sense as well. But where we're trading right now, absolutely not. This is right in the middle of the range. This is where the most indecision, the most choppy price action you'll see. So I wouldn't be looking to do anything. I don't really have a bias, to be honest, in the middle of that range. So dollar yen, buy or sell, neither. Unless, of course, we do get here, then something will change. But in the middle, I wouldn't do anything. Okay, oil we can take a look at, and then we're going to go through the yen basket. So oil's been interesting. Actually, let me go to the other one. Oil's been interesting. We bounced off the low. I wanted to see price break through the low, but we didn't quite see that happen. So it has kind of ruined the short party for me. I did want to see price break through the low here and show conviction. Then the plan would be very straightforward, looking for pullbacks of that and then some shorts. But unfortunately, we didn't see that happen. Price came smashing into support, rejected it very well this morning, and now we're kind of forming a bit of a double bottom. So would I be looking to try and find some continuation opportunities? No, not anymore. Lovely bearish move. It looked like price, faked resistance and then recovered it. But because we're respecting the floor so well, I'm not now going to be trying to look to short it again at the moment. So really for oil, I'm actually a bit more neutral now. I still do have a bearish bias because we are rejecting support. We closed really aggressive on the weekly chart. Nice piercing wick through the zone, confident closure. So I do expect us to eventually break lower. But in terms of good trade, I need us to be breaking the lows. And then the shorts become higher probability. And that's something I like to actually trade myself. And then a push into lows there makes sense. But we're not quite seeing that. So I could see potentially a big double bottom forming. And if we do get that, I'll be bullish from then onwards. So yeah, I'm a bit 50-50 right now. It depends where we go. Do we break highs? Do we break lows? Right now, this is turning into a bit more of a range here. And now we're pushing towards the middle. So right now, oil for me is a bit flat. Unless you did get in at the lows here, I'm not seeing much of an opportunity. I need price to start showing some trending environments again. And again, a key part of a trade, a key part of a trend is continuous highs or continuous new lows. We're not seeing that right now. So unless we do create some new lows, great. Then some shorts. But at the moment, it's 50-50. Okay, so yen basket, Aussie dollar. Yep, we can take a look. So JPY. Yeah, a lot of nonsense on the JPY basket, I must say. It is very flat as a whole. So I'm not seeing much in terms of the higher time frames. Still need to break through the floor or break resistance to get a trend going. On the 4-hour chart, looks like we pull back into this range here. Reject it really well. Looks like the lower highs are kind of continuous here. 1, 2, 3. Kind of keeping us bearish to a degree. On the 15-minute chart, still respecting lows. I mean, I wouldn't mind some shorts off the high here. Let's say if price was to push back into resistance again, I think we could probably see another push down. There's a lot of momentum there. But I don't like the fact, again, similar to oil, what we just spoke about. I don't like the fact that price is respecting lows. I would still stay bearish because that's where momentum is pointing down. And this is not a bad level to short from. It's a very significant level of resistance. And very much could provide resistance again. And kind of showing a bit of a head and shoulder pattern. But that's the best I could see. That's the best I could see for oil. I wouldn't, again, for the yen basket, I wouldn't want to be trading in the middle here. Noise, messiness, worst place to get involved. Here, at least you can get a nice stop loss. Potentially looking for the pullback of that. for continuation lower. So yeah, around 63, 69, I think makes sense. Anything in here, I would stay away personally. Okay, so Aussie dollar intraday, yes, we can take a look. Vladone, short DAX, any opinions on that? Okay. Edge fund also bearish, okay, we can take a look. Aussie dollar intraday, I actually like the buys. So we just cleared some resistance. So to me, Aussie dollar looks like it's on its way back to the highs at 0.66230. So as I said earlier, I do think if you're looking to trade Aussie dollar, looking for intraday buys is the best play because we just had a breakout of key resistance. Now I do expect us to make our move to the next key level, which would be the level up there. So if you're looking at intraday opportunities, we are seeing somewhat of a trend now. Let me move this out of the way. I'll probably suggest maybe a pullback towards this area looks good. Something like this. And then some buys from there. Lovely momentum on the way up there. I like the buys there. I mean, it would be better if we can create new highs than pull back. But I like what I'm seeing with the momentum. And of course, knowing that we have just seen a massive breakout on the 4-hour chart, as long as we don't come crashing back down and break below, I do expect us to find support and continue. So intraday Aussie dollar, just looking for pullbacks, looking for buying opportunities, as long as we maintain above 0.656. And then the next few days, I do expect us to be trading at 0.66230. So yeah, pretty bullish here for Aussie dollar. We'll take a look at the DAX next. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. So with the DAX, I like the shorts on this one. You said you are short in the DAX. Where are you short from? Because if I was looking to short the DAX, it would be from this area here, 23,984. Nice supply zone, brief consolidation, really aggressive move down. And then secondly, a very key level of support once, twice, third time, fourth, briefly resistance. Again, over there, support. So it's clearly a level which prices pay a lot of attention to. So not only are we coming back to a nice level of supply, but we're also hitting resistance as well. So 2 birds, 1 stone. So this is really where the confluence would be for a short for me. And then, yeah, a push back to prior lows would be the play. So I would be bearish on the DAX as well, but I wouldn't be shorting until we get there. And again, not to say that we can't fall before then. Absolutely, price could do that. It's just this is where the most confluence would be for me. So that's where I would want to be shorting from. But of course, we could fall before that. And yeah, looking at the higher time frames, price is really failing at the highs here. Not doing a good job at the highs. We tried to continue, failed at the highs again. So it looks like we are tiring, and perhaps we are slowly getting ready for a bearish move and perhaps a bigger correction for the DAX. So the lack of highs being created paints a picture that the DAX is tiring. Again, shorts is what really want to be looking for. The fact that we just made a really significant move through support last week or the week before shows how bearish we are, and perhaps a push towards these areas could be the next big target. So yeah, DAX shorts, I absolutely agree. Nice area of confluence just above us between 23,926 and 23,984. Anywhere within that area will do. And the push back to lows, 23,443, makes a lot of sense to me. So pretty bearish on the DAX as well. Not looking too good on the DAX at all. I think US 30 and the US indices are still somewhat bullish. Yeah, US 30, we are failing at highs, but we are still having bullish structure for now. NAS 100. Again, still respecting lows. Did take out some highs there. Probably can still push the highs there as well. In fact, I would expect us to. Nice zone there, price tapped into. Might come back in again before continuing, or we might continue straight away. And looking at the S&P, yeah, it's created new highs, although we are becoming very, very corrective now. We're sweeping the highs, having really aggressive retracements. sign of a market that is tiring. So I do think it's a bit of a ticking time bomb as well for the other indices, for us to start looking at the DAX and start heading lower. I do think something like that is brewing. Of course, we smashed through the previous all-time highs pretty long time ago now. And I do think we're starting to correct and eventually have that drop. But of course, it's just for price to continue higher as well. But definitely something to keep into consideration. But yeah, indices still up. DAX, I do favor downside as well. US indices, probably wouldn't trade them, but if I had to, I'd probably still be looking to buy. But again, cautious with how far we could go. But yeah, going into the rest of the week, dollar CAD is my #1 pick. It's reacting with that zone, so I do need to keep an eye on this one. I'm looking for an entry confirmation to short. I may scale to the 8 hour actually for a better entry. I like the wicks we're seeing to the upside. The only thing I don't like is this wick here. But I like the fact that the next following candle did wick to the upside. If this candle closed with strength, that would put me off the trade, because we've seen rejection lower and then conviction higher. That's a recipe for more upside 9 times out of 10. But the fact that we've got a really aggressive wick down and a fairly aggressive wick back up again, it's just kind of indecision to me. And of course, you got a very strong level of supply to give us a really strong push down. Altogether, price is respecting that pretty well. So if this 8 hour candle can close with some conviction, maybe breaking through the wick low here, that would be enough for me to take an entry. Something like this, stops above the high, at least a push back into the low here, probably give me a 1-to-1. And then if things go well, then a push into the low there, 1.35665. That would be the better case scenario, because again, looking at the weekly chart, knowing where price is trading, resistance, 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 resistance. Well, there again, hopefully resistance as well. I do think dollar CAD can really drop these lows, these lows, these lows, these lows. Longer term, that's where dollar CAD could be heading towards. And at the very least, I do think we'll get there. As long as price doesn't suddenly break to the upside, I do think we'll roll over. So the higher time frames are backing me. Of course, the current momentum on the higher time frame is backing me as well. You know, we've been falling since the start of the year, so the current momentum in higher time frames. The fact that this up move has been really corrective, firing a lot of wicks to the upside as well, shows that we're not really seeing much strength to the upside. Of course, we're rejecting a key level. So there's numerous reasons here on the higher time frames why we can continue falling. And then dropping to the lower time frames like the 8 hour, we're also seeing price respect supply zone, respect structure pretty well too. So yeah, I'm quite liking what I'm seeing. If this trade doesn't work out either, I'll look to have another stab at the high. So as we push to the high there, I'll look to have another stab there. The risk reward makes sense. There is definitely downside potential here back to lows at 1.35687. So I like it from that respect as well. I think if I get short here, then of course I do have to watch out for this level. So that's about 1-to-1. Not anything fantastic, but if it does break through, hopefully the trade really does open up. And hopefully we can see the DXY break to the downside as well. I think once we get that DXY closure below, then that's where dollar CAD will start to fall, euro start to rise, pound starts to rise, all the USD pairs start moving. And I do think that will be the likely breakout for DXY. It hasn't happened yet. Still, you could bounce from here, but I do think that'll be the likely move. So I'm kind of banking on that. But dollar CAD is looking good. I think CAD is right now is quite strong as well, or shifting into some strength. So that might help out the dollar CAD short position. But this is looking like the most likely trade I'll take. Not even today, probably this week, to be honest, unless other USD pairs step up. Yen is still kind of choppy, so kind of still sitting on the sidelines with yen at the moment, but I quite like dollar CAD shorts here. Good question. How many trades can I have running at the same time? As many as I want, really. I don't really have a cap to it. I do have a method which I respect every time I open a new position. So for example, if you look at my kind of how I've sectioned my watch list, I group pairs into their correlation kind of groups. So you got yen over here, Aussie yen, CAD yen, so on and so forth, USD over here, CAD pairs, crosses, CHF pairs, and these are some extra pairs, which I don't really trade. But the pairs I do trade, CHF, crosses, CAD, USD, Yen, all those pairs I have grouped. So my thought process is, if, for example, I do take a dollar CAD trade here, if I do get into a dollar CAD trade, I won't take another dollar pair because of their correlation until that dollar CAD trade, I'm either stopped out or I'm at break even. And then I can enter another USD pair. And then I won't enter another USD pair until that next trade is either stopped out or break even. So as long as my risk is capped to one position, I'm fine. But let's say if I hop into dollar CAD, I can still hop into a Yen pair, I can still hop into a CAD pair across CHF because they're not really directly correlated. And because, again, I only average 2 trades a week really, so there's no real kind of risk there really. So I can be in 2, 3, 4 positions at once, as long as they're in different groups, so they're not directly correlated. I can be 2, 3, 4 trades if I need be, but I wouldn't want to double up on the same group. So I wouldn't want to be like short CAD Yen and short Euro Yen because they'll probably both play out anyway or both fail. So I would wait for CAD Yen to get to break even, and then I'll see if there's still an opportunity for Euro Yen to trade. So I don't really have any caps, apart from just making sure I'm not over trading on those groups because of the correlation. But yeah, I can be in 3, 4, 5 trades if need be. Rare that I'm in that many, but yeah, I don't really have a cap, especially as a swing trade, because you want to take the opportunities as they come. Day trading, a lot more opportunities. You might want to cap it, especially scalping as well. But swing, if a good opportunity comes, as long as you're not kind of over risking that kind of currency, you want to really take it. Of course, as long as you manage your risk as well. That's the most important thing. But yeah, guys, we have come to the end of the stream. I do really appreciate each and every one of you tuning into the stream and chatting with myself. Tuning in does really help the streams out, helps the channel grow. I do really appreciate it. If you are enjoying, finding it useful, educational, entertaining, informative, drop a like, subscribe to the streams. It does really help out, and I do really appreciate it. If you do want to support the channel further, there are memberships you can subscribe to, added bonuses, perks there, members only videos. If you are interested, check it out if I haven't done so already. And also make sure you check out the Zentrix platform. And if you are looking to participate in the challenge, I have dropped the link there, which you can drop your email. And not challenge, sorry, competition. You'll be trading amongst other people. Again, just a bit of fun. If you want to trade, check out the competition. There will be cash prizes for the best traders. If you're interested, drop your email down. But guys, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be live again every day this week. So hopefully I'll see you, if not tomorrow, sometime later this week. And again, other content coming out, educational videos as well. So do keep an eye on that too. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Six AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. Exi, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI